Have you ever found yourself wondering why we say I work, but then also I am working? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. So today, we are going to crack the code on one of the most important tools in English, the present simple.
Okay, let's just dive right in with the big picture. On the left, you see I work. Think of this as something solid, general, or permanent. And on the right, I am working. That's all about what's happening right now, something temporary. For today, we're going to completely master the left side of this screen, the present simple.
So here's the thing you really got to remember about the present simple. It's not actually about the present moment. Kind of weird, right? It's really about what's generally true, or what happens again and again. You can think of it as the go-to tense for facts, habits, and those unshakable realities of life.
So that's the what. But what about the when? When do you actually pull this tense out in a real conversation? Well, let's break it down into 5 key situations.
That's right. There are just 5 main scenarios where the present simple is your absolute best friend. Once you nail these, you'll be using it like a pro. Let's jump into the first one.
First up, permanent situations. This is for the stuff that's, well, pretty permanent in your life. Things like, we live in New York, or he works at a bank. It's not just a quick visit or a temporary job, it's a long-term thing.
Second, we use it for all of our routines and habits. You know, the things you do over and over again, like your morning ritual. I wake up at 6 every day. Or maybe she hits the gym on Mondays. These are those repeated actions that really make up our lives.
And of course, this is the tense for stating simple, undeniable facts about the world. The sun rises in the east. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. These aren't opinions, right? They're just universal truths.
Okay, number 4 is for schedules. Now, this one can feel a little weird at first, but think about anything with a fixed timetable, like a bus, a train, or your favorite class. You'd say, our class starts at 9 o'clock. Even though it might happen in the future, the schedule itself is a present fact.
And finally, we use it to talk about how often something happens. Basically, whenever you see words like always, often, sometimes, or never, ding, 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 that's your big clue to use the present simple. For example, she always takes the bus, or he never eats breakfast.
Awesome. So we've covered the when, now for the how. How do we actually build these sentences from scratch? Let's get into the mechanics.
Okay, think of this table as your little sentence machine. Notice for I, you, we, and they, the verb is just, well, simple, it's work. But for he, she, and it, you've got to add that super important S, so it becomes works. Now look at the other columns. This is where our little helper verbs do and does show up. And here's the key trick. Once you use does, the main verb loses its S and goes back to normal. So it's he doesn't work, not he doesn't works.
So what if you want to ask a more detailed question, not just a yes or no question? It's actually super easy. You just take that question format we just saw, like do you work, and you pop a question word like where, when, or why right onto the front. Where do you work? See? The rest of the sentence stays exactly the same. Okay, you're doing great. You've got the rules down. Now let's look at a few common trip-ups so you can avoid them and sound like a total pro.
All right, that little S we strick on the end for he, she, and it, yeah, the spelling can get a little funky sometimes. But don't worry, there's a pattern. For most verbs, you just add S. Easy. But if the verb ends in a hissing sound like sh or cha, we add es, just to make it easier to say, like wash becomes washes. And for verbs ending in a consonant plus y, you know the drill. Drop the y and add ies.
So, let's see that consonant plus y rule in action. See? Try has that consonant R right before the Y, so it becomes tries. This is a super common mistake, but now you actually know the logic behind it. Here's another classic one. Remember our sentence machine? You just have to match them up. Doesn't goes with he, she, and it. For they, you always have to use don't. They don't eat vegetables. It's all about getting that subject and verb to agree. And this one, oh man, this is a big one. Even when you start with a question word, like what time, you still have to put that helper verb do or does in there before the subject. What time do you finish work? That little word is absolutely essential.
We've covered the when, the how, and the what to avoid. So let's bring it all together. What's the main thing you need to walk away with?
Look, at the end of the day, true mastery isn't about memorizing a chart. It's about making it automatic. It's that moment when you can just flip between these 3 forms. Positive, negative, and question effortlessly, without even thinking about it. Once you can do that,
You've totally got this.
So, your turn. Let's put this into practice right now. Using the present simple, tell us one fact, one habit, or just one permanent thing about yourself. It could be, I live in, I love, or I never. So what's one thing that's always true about you? Go ahead and share it in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me.